Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order, November 19th, 2025 at 10:03 a.m. So first item on the agenda is to approve the meetings from the last meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Nora?
I'll motion. This is Nora from Prospect Heights.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Andy from Indian Trails, seconding.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything they would like to add to the agenda today? Okay, then in that case, I'm going to hand over the meeting to Molly for the hybrid meeting protocol.
I'm going to be doing this a lot, up and down. It's totally cool. So I am going to say not so much protocol as guidelines, just so that we are all on the same page. So for these hybrid meetings, we really want to make sure that they are effective for us being in the room together as well as on Zoom. So I would ask, or we will ask, and thank you already, that everyone sits as close as you're comfortable and able to. We will be passing around the microphone, and we ask that you could please wait and speak once the microphone comes to you. Hopefully this will get a little more comfortable as we're going, and we can just sort of pass the microphone around. But the intention is just to make sure that our participants online are also getting the full picture of what we're talking about. We are going to make sure to monitor the chat throughout our meeting, but virtual participants, we really encourage you, raise your hand, use the chat, unmute, so that you can also be part of the conversation. And we'll make sure to pause to catch people's motions or additional comments. But this is all of our meetings, so the last thing I'm asking is there anything we're missing? Is there anything else we need to do to make sure these hybrid meetings are effective and useful for all of us? I used to be a teacher, so I do leave the long pauses. Okay, so thank you so much for bearing with us as we run around and try to get the mics to everybody, and we will just see how this goes and make any changes or adjustments as needed.
Next on the agenda is Rachel with staff updates.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting today. Everyone can hear me online. Is this mic working? Great. So today I'm going to be providing a summary of the staff report. I have provided the full text of the report in the packet, and I'll be taking any questions. So I've set up the schedule for December for the Backstage Library Works services. We do have two services from Backstage. The Quarterly Authority Notification Service sends us new updated and deleted authority records on a quarterly basis. These records will arrive during the third week of December. The other service is the periodic batch processing of bibliographic records. This service provides database maintenance to make corrections to records, such as correcting punctuation and subject headings. So we'll send our next file for batch processing on December 22nd at 5 p.m. This batch will have the first available date of October 16th through December 21st. Will be processed by noon on the 23rd. The restricted cataloging procedures will need to be followed from the 22nd at 5 p.m. until all bibliographic records have been loaded. So hopefully some of you will be taking some vacation time and won't be affected by it, since it's during the Christmas time. We should be able to finish loading all records on the 23rd. So the next in the report is deduplication. So I'd like to thank everyone who's volunteered to help to duplicate Vernon's records. We're already more than halfway done. So as of yesterday, we've deduplicated nearly 10,000 records already. The Polaris version 8.0 will be available before the end of the calendar year. CCS anticipates upgrading the training database shortly after the new year. So you can watch the CCS news for updates, and we'll send out emails as soon as we have a date. Innovative has fixed the problem that prevented the images for products with EANs instead of UPCs from displaying in the pack. So feel free to email the help desk if you need images of items that have EANs instead of UPCs, and we can add the images to synthetics if you think they're missing. So at the Acquisitions Technical Group, they passed a motion to include volume numbers in on-order item records. There is guidelines in the Catalogers Wiki. Scrap did review the text of the wiki, and we're fine with the text as it is. So this does not specify which staff needs to add the volume in. It's up to the library to decide which staff does that. If you have any questions, please let me know. Feel free to type in the chat if you have questions or raise your hand in the room.
Okay, so I'm next, Molly. I'm going to do the BiblioCore update first. So we have started the process of implementing BiblioCore as the new OPAC. BiblioCommons has recommended a project schedule, but we are updating that initial project schedule based on feedback from our governing board. And so we are waiting to find out when we will complete the BiblioCore project. The initial project schedule put our completion and public date at, I believe, mid-May. So we're asking if that is a date that works for people to have that OPAC go live officially, or if people would like to push it back into the fall when we are onboarding Wakanda and our other Rolling Meadows. Sorry, it took me a minute to think of that. But the project is on track, and we've already started to review configuration and discuss site scoping. And so what we are doing is we are going to take some of the questions about the setup for BiblioCore to database maintenance, and they will help us make some decisions. And again, that project plan timeline is being updated based on feedback from governing board. So if you do have any questions about when BiblioCore will go live, please feel free to talk with your directors to see what they're sort of leaning forward, and then we will get that out to you as soon as the decision's been made. Are there any questions about BiblioCore? Okay. My other update is with Orange Boy. So CCS has begun the process of implementing Orange Boy. It is a cloud-based tool consolidating data from different sources. So Polaris and our e-content, gate counts, if available. And it's supposed to provide data analytics to make some actionable insights. So it is less collection-based and more based on all of those other data points that we're pulling potentially within the library, and hopefully bringing it into a centralized location that then you and your other staff can make really good data-driven decisions. The project is on track. We are already getting data from Polaris, automated and syncing. We've got the standard reports enabled. And then we are reaching out, or we have reached out to all member libraries to collect information about what data points you are currently collecting and what data points you'd like to see in there. I believe we've heard back from all but potentially 2 libraries. So we are doing well getting that data in there. And then we've also provided some test credentials as well so that they can start to begin testing. Our project timeline for this is we're going to begin training sessions, scheduling in January, And we will have training in February, so you should hopefully be able to access the tool by March. Any questions on Orange Boy?
I just wanted to know if you could share any specific examples of how libraries are going to be.
So I'm still learning a lot about this tool. I think that the intention with Orange Boy is that we will still have web reports live, so that data will also be coming in. But then, like I said, because of things like gate count information and other potential data points that you're collecting in various ways, this will give you a centralized location so that you can make some assumptions, or you can make some actual, not assumptions, you can make some actual data-driven decisions to do some correlation. So maybe I had a program on Saturday, I check my gate counts on Saturday, and I do a comparison from a program a year ago, gate counts, see if my gate counts went up, see if my attendance came up. That's a very vague answer because I'm still getting into the platform as well, but it really is supposed to help centralize those data points that we're not necessarily pulling from the ILS and give you a place to make some great decisions. Did that help? Karen asked, I'm assuming databases aren't part of this. I need to double check our survey that we handed out, Karen, and I can answer that in just a moment.
Hi, this is Nora from Prospect Heights. I answered the survey and put in a bajillion responses of different data things that we collect, because we collect a lot of different things. So what is CCS's sort of overarching goal of the scope of Orange Boy, and what data will be aggregated there, and what is outside of scope?
That's a great question. I know for sure that there are data points that we are going to be able to pull in. I believe the databases are going to be part of it, but please don't quote me on that at this time. My understanding of the scope and intention is any data that we can automatically pull into a single dashboard, the intention is to get it there. I know that things like overdrive data will be able to be pulled in pretty easily, but then it's just a matter of us talking with the company and making sure that, like, if you have gate counters that are automating into a system, can that information go into this product? So the intention is, I heard one of the directors say, like, they can't wait till all of their IPLAR data can just be pulled really quickly. And I think that is the pie in the sky intention. That's our hope. But we're still working with them to see exactly what we can get into that platform. I am not the lead on the project. I'm just one of the people on the project. So I'll get some follow-up information and get that sent back out to the group. Thanks for using the mic. Okay, no further questions. I think I turn it back over to Rachel.
Next on the agenda is the scrap report. The CCS Scrap Advisory Group held a virtual meeting on October 22nd at 1 p.m. Members discussed the creation of a wiki page for Yodos, Tony boxes, and Story Dream machines. So I plan to work on the draft page for this, but I haven't had time to get that done yet. So I should be able to have that done by the next scrap meeting. The members discussed the usage of the 099 tag for a video game platform in Final Record. They passed a motion to recommend it to CAMM, and we'll come back to this in a second. They also discussed a suggestion to change the requirement for adding the duration to the 300 field, but decided it did not need to be changed since the language in the bibliographic input standards page does allow for the cases where it's not visible on the item. So if it's not readily ascertainable, you can't find it anywhere, then that's fine. If you can't find it, it does not need to be added to a record. You don't have to do any like extra research to figure it out. There were also several wiki pages that we reviewed, and I've already sent out the updates I made to those pages. So our next scrap meeting is scheduled for January 21st at 1 p.m. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, scrap did pass a motion to recommend to CAMM to allow the option to add a video game format as it appears in the 753 tag to the 099 tag in the final record. So this will not be required, and in many cases, you will already see that tag in the 092 because they could already be in the OCLC record. So this will allow it to be in the 099 and allow it to be in a standardized format that we already have on the wiki. So in the packet, I included background on this discussion. Scrap did talk about it over the last 2 meetings, and I found out that the 099 tag is what's given precedence over the other classification number tags. So that's why we chose the 099 instead of the 092. Let me bring up this image here. So one of the benefits of putting the format in the 099 tag in the final record is that it will appear in the call number field or call number column of the find tool results. So when you're cataloging, this will allow you to choose the correct record for the format. It's not going to be required if they pass the motion. It will just be useful to help you select the correct record. So are there any questions about this?
Will this affect in any way how the records display in the pack?
No.
I was concerned at my library about the overlap with the 099 use for preliminary data. So how would we handle both?
This would be only required for final records, not the on-order record. I mean, not required, I should say. It should be only in the final records, not the on-order records. On-order records should still have the preliminary data records in 09. Kathy, you had your hand raised?
Yes, thank you. One of the things that I remember in the discussion was that this was to be helpful to public services staff so that they can see the platform in the LEAP brief hit lists without having to delve into the records themselves. In the acquisitions data, acquisition staff are already putting the platform in the title itself, so that'll be video game name and then in parentheses PS5 or however they're doing that, so that we're able to still see what's a preliminary data record versus a fully cataloged video game by platform. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Are there any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
This is Nora from Prospect Heights. I move to allow use of the video game format in the 099 for final records.
Kim from Zion, I'll second.
Do we need to do a roll call vote?
We're supposed to, yes.
Okay, let's do it.
So, Adrian, can you use that mic that you have for?
Okay, we will start the roll call vote with Algonquin.
This is Rachel. Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Crystal Lake. Displains. Evans.
Blaine said yes.
Blaine said yes. Evanston.
Yes.
Fox River Valley.
Fox River Valley said yes.
Yes. Fremont. Glencoe.
You skipped Ela.
Glenview.
I'm sorry, you skipped Ela.
Oh, we skipped Ela. I'm sorry.
Ela is,
Ela.
Ela is yes.
Ela is yes. Grays Lake. Yes. Highland Park.
Highland Park is yes.
Huntley. Yes.
Huntley is yes.
Indian Trails. Yes.
Indian Trails is yes.
Lake Forest.
Lake Forest is yes.
Lake Villa.
Lake Villa is yes.
Lincolnwood.
Lincolnwood is yes.
McHenry.
McHenry is yes.
Morton Grove.
Morton Grove is yes.
Mount Prospect.
Mount Prospect is yes.
Niles.
Niles is yes.
Northbrook. Yes.
Northbrook is yes.
Palatine is yes.
Palatine is yes.
Park Ridge.
Park Ridge is yes.
Prospect Heights.
Prospect Heights is yes.
Round Lake.
Round Lake says yes.
Vernon.
Vernon is yes.
Or Newport. Okay, Waukegan. Wilmette.
Wilmette is yes.
Winnetka.
Winnetka is yes.
And Zion Benton.
Zion is left. Yes.
Motion passes.
The motion passed.
So next on the agenda, we have demos, and we're going to start with Molly with deduplicating in LEAP.
Are you able to hear me if I use this mic? Let me use this one. Okay. I'm going to try using the podium mic. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to the other mic. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about deduplication. And it's actually really timely because we've gotten a lot of tickets lately about deduplication. And so I will just kind of show you a little demonstration and take any questions that you might have. So can I the Polaris on your one is the training? Thank you. And while I'm logging in, there is a page on the CCS website about deduplication and the steps that you can take. And I will go ahead and refer to that as well after I go walk through this. So we have been doing deduplication with Vernon, and it's just a good practice to kind of go back over this. And one of the questions that I've gotten recently is some of the libraries have reported that, like at the public service desk, perhaps their staff aren't able to scan something in. They're not able to locate the item by barcode. So they're doing an on-the-fly record and adding a barcode in, inadvertently creating duplicate records that have holdings on them or item records on them, and then asking questions about, well, how can I get that back to its original record and maybe either remove that item or retain that item for some sort of historic record. So I'm going to just go real quick through looking for one of my favorite books, Dogman, Lord of the Fleas. I have kiddos, so I've read it quite a few times. So I'm just going to go ahead and locate my title. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I've got my Dogman. I'm going to go with my first record here. So I'm going to remove the chat for now. Okay, so here's Dogman, Lord of the Fleas. If I look at this record, it has some holdings on it, and then when I scroll through, it looks like a pretty solid record to use. But the reason that I pulled this as an example is if I go into Actions, I want to do a duplicate check and just see what's going on. I noticed when I was searching there were other titles, so I'll just go ahead and duplicate check with the button in Leap. And what's great is that it right away is showing me two other records that are coming up that do have item records attached that could possibly be a duplicate record. So from here, something I can do is copy the control number, and we'll go back and we'll do a compare. Now, I can tell you from doing this process a lot, and I don't know how Rachel feels about it, it would be great if we could just pick this as the compare and then click a button and it would automatically open compare. That functionality does not currently exist, but I know it is on the slate of things to be added, hopefully in the next few upgrades. So what I'm going to do is I will just go ahead and cancel. Before I cancel, if you look through these titles and you see that something might not be there, you can also click Add Titles. And doing the Add Titles, I can pull up additional bibliographic records to identify as potential duplicates and add them to this list. I'm going to just start with what I have. So again, I will go ahead and cancel. And now I want to go through Actions and click Compare. So again, it's going to open up my Find tool. I will use control number, the magic of searching earlier. And here's that Dogman that appears to be a preliminary record. We'll go ahead and open that one. It's going to open two side-by-side records for me. And I did record that third record as well. So I will go ahead and put that in here as a comparison. Okay. And that's also something that we see a lot with duplications is that when I scroll down into my title field, I can see that in a 245, my original records I started with Dogman, it has Lord of the Fleas in there. The preliminary record that I identified also has Dogman, Lord of the Fleas. So I want to look at that third record. I click on the tab. Now it's going to pull up this third record for me. And you can see that there's some different information. One of the things that I really love about the compare feature is the fact that it puts everything side by side. Have you guys all played with this or used this regularly? Excellent. Okay. But you can see one of the commonalities that we see a lot is this 245 starts with Dogman, graphic novel. This one starts with Lord of the Fleas, written by. So a little bit of a variation. But if I decide that one or both of these records need to be deduplicated, I want to go ahead and go through that process. So this first one appears to me to look like a preliminary record. It does say preliminary data on it. We've been finding that, Rachel, have you seen that more too? I feel like I've had tickets where items are attached to preliminary records, but they don't switch over to a full record. Okay, so yeah, so that's just a few tickets I've gotten here and there. It's like, why is there an item attached to a preliminary record when it's checked out? So this might be an instance where it would be good to deduplicate. So what I want to do is if I've determined that this is something that I want to deduplicate, I will close this. This will take me back to my original record. And then very simply, I can click Actions and do my duplicate check again. I like to check the records before I do the deduplication just to make sure. But I will pick this first or the second one that looks like a preliminary record. And all I need to do is click Paste. And that's what's nice is it's going to replace that record and then it'll move those items over to the full bibliographic. So pretty simple. It's still loading, but it's a really effective way to sort of keep the database clean and keep up with, you know, managing some records that are full records instead of the preliminary records. Any questions or words of wisdom? You guys are probably doing this more than we are. Yeah, Tammy.
So this process, it would fold in any holds on the preliminary data record into the existing record?
Yeah, so the hold that's on the item is going to follow that item. So it's really just it's overlaying the bib record, but it's keeping that hold information on the item record.
I guess just a tip for staff who maybe aren't used to doing this. The fields that you want to look at besides the 245 might be the 250 edition statement, the 264 publication statement to see if it's the same publisher, and year of publication, and then the 300 field and for the pagination. And you can look at all of those guidelines for deduplicating on the wiki.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love the side-by-side. Thank you for bringing that up. It's great to be able to just go through and just check really quick.
This is Tammy. One last tip when you're deduplicating on the fly records, check your barcode in the item record because it may have an extra digit or an extra space in it, and that's why it wouldn't scan in the first place.
Yeah, so the last one that I deduplicated had the prefix already in, and then it looks like they pasted in the barcode again. So it had that prefix and then the full barcode. So just, that was a good tip, Tammy, to get rid of those extra digits. Any other tips, either from the audience or from Zoom?
Just a reminder, if you are if you're deduping by merging a single volume into a multi-volume record, make sure you add the volume to each of the items before you complete the merge.
And we were actually going to maybe talk about that today, but we're going to push that off, the merging of multi-volume sets, to the next meeting. And Nora, I might be emailing you for some examples you might like us to look at.
So the next thing on the agenda is the new AI enrichment macro for connection. So there is a link in the pack. I've added some information to the catalogers wiki on that macro. So if you're curious or just want to see how good it is or how bad it is, you can click on OCLC Cataloging AI Toolkit in this webpage, and this will take you to the OCLC page. So there are two different versions of it. You need to download the correct version for your version of OCLC. So there's one here for 2.63 and one for 3.1. If you don't know which version you have, you can find it in OCLC Connection, in About OCLC Connection Client, and up at the top it will tell you which version you have, where it says OCLC Connection 3.1. I have 3.1. So this is a bit different than the typical macro book file that you're used to adding to OCLC Connection. So when you download this, you are not supposed to copy it and paste it into your macro books folder. It will run like a program installation. So when you click on it, from your downloads folder, it will open up the installation dialog boxes, and you just click through that to install it, and you'll place it in the correct place that it's supposed to be. So like all of the macros, it will be placed in the Tools, Macros, and Manage section. It will appear as OCLC AI Enrichment, and with a record open, you would click on it and press Run. It's fairly easy to use, just like any record. So I'm going to bring up just a record 1 second. Oops, not there. Oh, I forgot to save it in my save file. 1 second. So one thing that is very useful if you do install the macro is to familiarize yourself with the OCLC community page. So there is a link in this macros page to the OCLC Community Center. So when you use this macro, if you see that it's giving you very odd results that don't make sense, feel free to post it in OCLC Community Center. So on this page, I found that I posted one comment here, and they were very responsive and do plan to make corrections to the OCLC macro. So it doesn't require you to download it again once they've made a correction. So this macro just basically gets corrected on the AI side. So when you run the macro, it actually connects to an external site to pull in the suggestions. So I'm going to use this example that I posted about. So this is a middle grade title. It's already got the subject headings in it, so it's not going to give me the best examples, but it will show you how it could make mistakes when I run this. So it's something to be wary about. OCLC did not intend for this to be used as your definitive source for subject headings. It still requires you to do research to confirm that these are the correct subject headings. So I'm going to run this macro, selected it, and it will run. So you can see it's retrieving the data from the enrichment service. And this pop-up appears. So it will provide you with suggestions for doing numbers, but this isn't the best example because it's a fiction book. So it could be more useful if you have a nonfiction book you're working on. So this one already has its full list of subject headings, but this is a good example of where it will show you incorrect subject headings, because this is not a graphic novel. This is a chapter book. It doesn't say graphic novel in the record, but it is giving you suggestions with heading graphic novels, the form for comic books and strips. And basically how this is working is it would look at the summary and give you some suggestions based on the summary. So in this summary, we've got this, I'm going to move this down here. So in the summary, you can see that it says that orange and black monarch butterflies. So from that, it actually pulled the word black and gave me the suggestion of girls, black. That's not something that the book is about, but it is about global warming and environmental issues. So environmental disasters could potentially be a useful heading, but you'd want to do more research to see if that is appropriate or something that would be unnecessary for it. Is there any questions?
When you use this, are these always the 3 suggested areas that they'll provide suggestions in? Is the DOE number, LC number, and subject headings?
Yes. If you do want to turn off the Library of Congress classification number, you can click on this button by show suggestions, and it will turn it off.
So when you use one of these suggestions, let's say, oh, it's a graphic novel and you add it there, will it be the correct 650 field, or will you have to also edit that? So if you do graphic novels, will it be a 655, or will it be a just different number and you'll have to change it again?
This does say LCSH, so it's not going to put in LCGFT. So I clicked on it, and to run it, it then puts it into a 650, the second indicator of 0.
So you'll still have to edit it. Okay.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to go back to, not bibliocord, to Orange Boy, since we had so many questions. I want to make sure to give you guys the right information. So I looked back through my documentation. What will be integrated, or what we're hoping to be integrated, are things like Overdrive, Hoopla, Regal, Canopy, Cloud Library, Mango, those types of resources. So those are the things that we were asking libraries to share with us. Sure. There we go. So Overdrive, Hoopla, Freegal, Canopy, Mango, Cloud Library, potentially Beanstack. And then we're also going to be looking at computer usage, so potentially patron activity on computers if you're collecting that information. We are finding that it would be more useful for us to collect computer data if you are using the patron's ID, their card number, when they're using a computer. And then from there, we are talking to them about any other information that might be able to be obtained and put in. And then we're also looking at service areas. So we're providing shape files, or they're going to create shape files so that they can provide us with service areas with our patrons potentially mapped for us to get a better idea. So I just want to give a more concise answer to my earlier answer about what would be integrated. Any follow-up questions?
Will you be able to tell which patrons are only using electronic resources, never coming into the library?
That is a wonderful question. I believe that what we will, based on if a patron, we can see like is a patron checking out through the ILS, is a patron checking out through Overdrive. I'm not 100% sure though, because of the fact that we have Overdrive integrated into the ILS, how they will separate that. But I will make sure to take that back to our next meeting to say that CCS would really like to see that happen and get some feedback. Sorry, I don't like to give a correct answer unless I actually have the correct information. So that's why I wanted to come back to this real quick. I didn't mean to hijack the meeting.
It looks like we've covered everything on the agenda today. Our next meeting will be February 18th, 2026, 10 a.m., hybrid again. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
This is Nora from Prospect Heights. I move to adjourn.
Come on, Grace, like people, I know you can second that motion. You can second it.
This is Tiffany from Grace Lake. I second.
Okay, we're adjourned then. Thank you everybody for attending.
Feel free to grab coffee or tea on their way out. You have plenty